Ceremonies are being held around the world today to mark International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Members of the German parliament gave a standing ovation to an 80-year-old Holocaust survivor who told the story of how she learned her parents had been killed at the Auschwitz concentration camp. Each year, the world pauses on January 27th, the day in 1945 that the concentration camp was liberated. Ceremonies will be held to honor the memories of the 6 million Jewish people and millions of others who were murdered by the Nazi regime during the Second World War. With me now is Rabbi Abraham Cooper with the Simon Wiesenthal Center, Associate Dean and Director of Global Social Action. Good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
What is going through your mind on this day, the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau? How are you remembering the people that died?
Well, when we talk about Auschwitz-Birkenau, it wasn't just a concentration camp. It was the main also death camp where Jews were taken right off the cattle cars and put into gas chambers and mass murdered, as well as the Roma and others who were put into similar circumstances at that place. What I'm thinking about today is what, if anything, has humanity learned in all of these decades? There was a poll just now in the United States. Half of Americans don't know that 6 million Jews were mass murdered by the Nazis during the World War II Holocaust. I think it's unfathomable, really, to fully understand the scope of what's taken place. And so the main focus for the Simon Wiesenthal Center, and I think for those who are in education, is to always try to put a human face on what took place, to understand the story of one person like an Anne Frank, or God forbid, members of families who you never got to know, you may be named after. So for the Jewish world, it's extremely, personal. It happened first and foremost to our people. But speaking more broadly, our namesake, Simon Wiesenthal, the great Nazi hunter who lost 89 members of his family in the Holocaust and barely survived himself, was often asked, could it happen again? And I was there in 1980 when he said the following: when you have organized hate and you have a society in crisis, plus technology, anything is possible. And he went on to say that if the technology that the Nazis used in the 1930s and 40s had been available in 1492, no Jew would have survived in Spain, no Catholic in England, no Protestant in France. And of course, he never conceived or thought of something called the internet or social media. Today, the number one platform for the spread of anti-Semitism, bigotry, hate, racism are the social platforms that we all live off of, we buy our products from, and our kids absorb. We need to make sure that companies like Twitter and TikTok and all the rest do a better job to make sure that they don't continue to be marketing platforms to attack young people and to attack Jews and others. This is also a time of unprecedented resurgence of anti-Semitism on both sides of the Atlantic. So the bottom line is, it's a good question what we have learned till now, but probably in the 21st century, it's more important to learn those lessons and to remember than it was even 40 years ago. So the focus has to be on educating young people and also making sure we're true to history. It's not about identity politics. It's about what actually transpired. The words, it always starts with words. It never ends with words. It often starts with Jews. It never ends with Jews.
It struck me this morning, just reading over this, that 78 years ago was not all that long ago. And yet memories are already fading. So you sort of touched on this, but you see, again, amidst this wave of rising anti-Semitism, as education being the way to stop hate. Is that the best way to address it?
Let me put it let me put it this way. I agree with what you just said, but I think, again, what Mr. Wiesenthal said was very interesting. He was once asked, what was he surprised by how many Nazis there were? And he said, no, but I was surprised how few anti-Nazis there were. We're never going to change the bigots, the anti-Semites, the haters out there, but we have to really mobilize the rest of us to get off the couch and not be silent when someone's bullied. And when you see a swastika, to show solidarity and take action. And right now, so many of the young people and the rest of us are tied to social media, to the virtual world. That sometimes you would think that would get people off their couch and go out and do something. I think it's important for us to teach our children and our grandchildren that there is such a thing as evil in the world. And if the worst thing you can do in the face of evil is to remain silent. These are very tough lessons. They're not learned by osmosis, and you can't do it by a 30-second TikTok video. You really have to sit down with your kids, if you're a member of the clergy, to make a commitment in terms of your own faith. And it's, at the end of the day, not only about the Jews. For me, I'm also the vice chair of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom. And what is going on today around the world for the targeting of religious minorities and others. Remember, there are two types of people that are out there. Hopefully, the majority, the vast majority, are good, decent people. We pause on a day like today to remember what happens when genocide is unleashed on a people. But there are also bad actors, evil people, who say to themselves, "Hey, the bigger the crime, the easier it is to get away with it." Who figure out a way to dehumanize their quote unquote enemies, who are embracing these lurid conspiracy theories, etc. So, the basics for human, the dimension of what we're capable with, the good and the evil, remain even in the 20th century. And yes, collective memory is fading in the rearview mirror. And the only way you can keep memory alive is by taking the messages and the memories of the survivors of the Holocaust, really an incredible generation of people, everything they went through, and yet in Canada, across the United States, in Israel, they reconstructed lives after they saw their own families wiped out, and they embraced love and not hate. Well, we're about to losing them every day. They're about to leave the stage of world history and of our communities, and it'll be up to the rest of us, Jews and non-Jews alike, to make sure that we can keep memory alive.
Rabbi, thank you so much. Rabbi Abraham Cooper, appreciate you being with us. We'll take a short break and be back with more news on the other side.